You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
I hope that you are seated comfortably, with the light turned down and the curtains drawn.
Hello and welcome back to another adventure in Ecto Portal. We're back. Tonight's topic, of course, is going to be something unusual. But first, I'm Anthony Anderson, your host. I'm here with my co-host,
Verna Wilson.
And
Linda Walker.
She does live again.
Hi,
she's
everybody.
back.
I'm back.
She's back. She's almost there.
Yeah.
What are you, like 70% there?
About 75%.
Okay.
She was bad off.
Bad off or bad off?
She was bad off.
I had a bad case of bronchitis.
She did.
Really
and
bad.
And we didn't want to share it with you. So now that she's passed that on,
Right.
she's back.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead.
So, of course, tonight's topic is electronic voice phenomenon.
EVPs.
EVPs, something we all know about, and it should be interesting.
Something we've heard quite a few times, and it's good to be sharing it with the public.
Yep, just what it is, where it came from, briefly, because I don't want to dwell too much on that.
Nah.
But
You'll get there.
exactly, you'll get there. And then I have a lot to play, some of the really good ones.
I believe it.
And I prepped them, and it's interesting because I read a few articles that I thought that were kind of opposing about it, but we'll get into that. Hello and welcome back to Ecto Portal. Tonight's show is going to be EVPs, electronic voice phenomena.
You can finally hear voices from beyond.
Yeah,
what it sounds like.
Exactly, instead of just ours from beyond.
Yeah, instead of just ours. Mm-hmm.
EVP is electronic voice phenomena, communication by spirits through tape recorders and other electronic devices. Now, sounds found on electronic recordings are interpreted as spirit voices that have either been unintentionally recorded or intentionally requested and recorded. So, the term actually was coined by a parapsychologist, Konstantin Radov, who popularized the idea in the 1970s, described EVT as typically brief, usually the length of a word or a short phrase. Psychologists regard EVP as a form of auditory pareidolia, interpreting random sounds as voices in our own language. So, in pseudoscience promulgated by popular culture, explanations rationally can be explained for EVP are perceiving patterns in random information, equipment artifacts, and hoaxes. Thomas Edison was asked in an interview to comment on the possibility of using his inventions to communicate with the dead.
Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that article a few weeks ago.
Yes,
He replied, if the spirits were only capable of subtle influences, a sensitive recording device would provide a better chance of spirit communication than the table tipping and Ouija board mediums employed at the time. However, there's no indication that Edison ever designed or constructed a device for this purpose. Of course, one of the first people was Attila von, I want to say, Azulay, recorded what he believed to be voices of the dead as a way to augment his investigations in photographing ghosts. He began his attempts in 1941 using a 78 RPM record, but it wasn't until 1956, after switching to a reel-to-reel tape recorder, that he believed he was successful. He worked with Raymond Bayless and did a number of sessions with a custom-made apparatus consisting of a microphone and an insulated cabinet connected to an external recording device and speaker. He reported finding many sounds on the tape that could not be heard on the speaker at the time of the recording, and some of which recorded, there was no one in the cabinet. He believed these sounds to be the voices of discarnate spirits. Some of the very first EVPs ever recorded are "This is G," "Hot Dog Art," "Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all."
You get some odd phrases with some of these EVPs.
They don't all make sense some of the time. They're clear, but they don't make sense. Maybe to us. That's why I always tell people when they get an EVP, like, is the office still open at 8? And they're like, I asked if someone is here that died, and I got, this office is open till 8? And I thought, well, maybe that spirit isn't talking to you. Sorry, dear.
Yeah,
Or-
sometimes they're not. I mean, they could be...
To each other.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're talking about the history of the place or the history of...
Or they're still living in that same time zone.
Right. They're talking about the history of the place or something to do with it, and we don't know about it.
But we don't know that they're doing that either.
Right, of course not.
Yeah.
It just helps
Yeah, it
to
could
find
be.
that out.
It
Yeah.
could just be, you know, maybe they've heard the questions before from other investigators. Like, you know, let me just get to the punch. Here's what happened here.
Could be.
Friedrich Jurgensen in 1959, a Swedish painter and film producer, was recording bird songs. And playing the tape later, he heard what he interpreted to be his dead father's voice and the spirit of his deceased wife calling his name. He went on to make several more recordings, including one that said he contained a message from his late mother. Interesting. Then there's the Spiricom that was invented in 1980 by William O'Neill. An electronic audio device called the Spiricom claimed the device was built to specifications which he received physically from George Mueller, a scientist who had died 6 years previously. At Washington, D.C. press conference, O'Neill stated he was able to hold two-way conversations with spirits through the Spiricom device and provided the design specifications to researchers for free. However, nobody is known to have replicated the results O'Neill claimed using their own Spiricom devices. O'Neill's partner, retired industrialist George Meek, attributed O'Neill's success and the ability of others to replicate it. His mediumistic abilities forming part of the loop that made the system work. So, I mean, I remember Spiricom. There's actually pictures of him with his device, and there's actually recordings you can hear of his stuff. Frank's Box is another device that records EVP, created in 2002 by Frank Sumpton, thus the name Frank's Box.
I remember that.
Supposedly created for real-time communication with the dead, Sumpton claimed he received his design instructions from the spirit world. The device is described as a combination of white noise generator and AM radio receiver modified to sweep back and forth through the AM band, selecting split-second snippets of sound. Critics of the device say it's ineffective, is subjective, and incapable of being replicated, since it relies on radio noise and any meaningful response a user gets is purely coincidental or simply the result of pareidolia. Any contemporary researchers, Sarah Stepp, in 1982, founded American Association of EVP. In Severna Park, Maryland, the purpose of increasing awareness of EVP and teaching standard methods for capturing it. That's where we get a lot of today's, like the class structure of EVP.
Right.
We get a lot of that from her techniques, because she has like the tagging, where you're at.
Yep,
the
you taught me the tagging.
Yep, the sounds
Yes.
around you, the people with you say their names or have them say their names.
Right.
All of that is what came from Sarah in 1982.
Thank you.
I'd like to get her on the show.
I don't think she's alive anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. Okay.
She's with Bud Hopkins now.
all right.
She began her exploration of EVP in 1976, and she has made hundreds of recordings of messages from deceased friends, relatives, and extraterrestrials whom she specified originated from other planets or dimensions.
Wow. And you can still hear, do they have a website? You can still hear half of this?
I think
wanna
there
hear
is
some
still
of it.
samples. So just look up Sarah Estep, ESTEP. This is for how her last name is spelled. American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena. AA-EVP. And you can, there's the whole site that gives the history of what she did. And there's other people that continued that site in her work, but you know, it's interesting because some people who are into ITC, and here, it's coming up now, instrumental transcommunication was coined by Ernest Senkowski in the 70s to refer more generally to communication through any sort of electronic device, such as tape recorders, fax machines, television sets, or computers between spirits or other disincarnate entities and the living. One particularly famous claimed incidents of ITC occurred when their image of EP enthusiast Friedrich Jurgensen, whose funeral was held that day, was said to have appeared on a television in the home of a colleague who had been purposely tuned into a vacant channel. ITC enthusiasts also look at the TV and video camera feedback loop on the Drost effect. So if you've ever seen that, they'll put it on a station that doesn't have a broadcast, and you'll aim the camera at it. So you're actually filming the static, and you get this weird pattern, and they look for these images in it.
Interesting.
Sometimes they get sound from it too. I've never seen it, but there's a whole, I guess there's a story, and I'm still trying to find the source for it. When TV first went on the air, they had these weird images and people talking and visuals, but there was no broadcast signals yet.
I've heard about that.
I mean, I'm still trying to find. I would love to find a good source on that because I have heard that, someone told me.
Or
that
if somebody
actual,
captured it, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's available, but
Some of the
it's pretty fascinating.
You know, it
though.
reminds me of when I first saw a movie, The House on Haunted Hill, when they had the paranormal investigators come in that, and they would show the early stuff of some of the equipment they used.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah.
Yep, it's true. That's why I
Recorders
laugh
and
at the big old clunky reel-to-reels and.
You know, back in the old days, when I was told if I wanted to record a spirit voice, all you had to do was turn on the tape recorder and have it go on all night silent, and then listen to it the next day.
That's a lot of hours, though.
It was.
I used to do that, too.
But we did it, yeah.
Then I realized, if you make short recordings, they're easier to go through.
But
you never know what you're going to get either.
exactly, that's why you left it on all night.
Yep.
Yeah.
People get telephone calls from the dead.
I've heard about that.
Yep.
Alleged phenomenon report from many people. Different single occurrence telephone calls from deceased relatives, friends, or strangers. Spirits that haunt recording devices. This is an interesting one I hadn't heard. In 1995, parapsychologist David Fontana proposed in an article that poltergeists can haunt tape recorders. He speculated this may have happened to a parapsychologist, Maurice Gross, who investigated the Enfield police poltergeist case. Do you remember the Enfield haunting in England with the family, the mother and her daughters, however, Tom Flynn, a media expert for the Committee of Skeptical Inquiry, examined his article and suggested an entirely naturalistic explanation for the phenomena. He said his explanation is occasionally, especially with older tape and under humid conditions, the tape travels. It can adhere to one of the guideposts. When this happens on a deck where both the supply and take-up spindles are powered, the tape continues to feed, creating a fold. In such a loop of tape, Flynn says, the fat threaded its way amid the works of Gross's recorder, so that would create a sound. Which is why we don't even use tape anymore. We use electronic computer circuitry.
Since then.
Yep. So there was various experiments that have done. There's been group testing in laboratories, and they could not replicate EVPs at all. So like a Faraday cage, which is a very contained, I don't know how thick it is, it completely blocks out sound of any kind. They put the recorder in the Faraday cage, and if you get results, then you have something there. They could never replicate it. But I don't know any ghost hunters are going to sit inside a box.
No.
They don't have the patience. Or they might, but
Well,
I've never seen them do it.
I just love that how science says it has to be this way or it isn't
Right.
real. To me, that's skeptical in itself. It has to always be this way in a controlled environment or we don't deem that it's real.
Right.
There's so many things in our world that are real that we can't put in a laboratory.
Right.
So, aren't voice recorders the method of choice? Portable digital recorders are currently the technology of choice for some EVP investigators, since some of these devices are susceptible to radio frequency contamination. EVP enthusiasts sometimes try to record EVP in RF and sound screened rooms. And everyone can learn how to use EVP. There's plenty of stuff on the internet if you want to check out different techniques. There's different classes, class A, B, and C. A being the best. If you have an EVP recording, you play it back for one person, or let's say you play it back for 5 people. Right. All 5 tell you the same answer. That's a class A
That's
EVP.
a class A.
That's cool.
If you play it for 5 people and maybe 2 people give you the best answer and 3 don't, that's a class B. If you play it for 5 people and all 5 get a different answer, that's a class C. If you even go far, some people do D.
I've heard some class A's.
Yeah, but it's funny because people are very, very protective of their own EVPs. Everyone is. I am. And you're like, oh, it's a class A, and then everyone's going, I hear this. I hear this.
Right.
Well, if you hear that going on, it's not a class A.
Oh no, not if you hear that.
That's
No.
just. I mean, it's hard to hear, but. So tonight we're going to play some EVPs. Now these are EVPs that I've recorded in the past. I don't know how many of these we're going to get through. Is she going to throw up? What's going on over there?
She's sucking
I was
on
trying
her
not
bottle.
to spill my bottle.
Every time.
I was trying not to spill it. That's
I know
all.
it's her catheter bottle. She just sometimes she spills it. So we're gonna play these. Again, this is the format I use for all EVPs ever. The EVP originally by itself.
Okay.
So a piece of audio with EVP in it somewhere.
Okay.
Then that repeated, but louder. And then the EVP itself isolated. EVP again isolated, but cleaned up and amplified. And then I slow it down a little bit so you can understand it. And then the EVP isolated by itself again so you can hear the difference.
Okay.
And that's how each one of these will be played in sequence.
He's the tech guy. He knows how to
do this really well.
So the first one, this was captured in the Castro. This is back in 2009. It was in an in-law that was haunted. An elderly woman lived there with her dog. And you're just going to hear, I was taking flash pictures. And we usually say flash whenever we take a picture so that other investigators know you're not going to blind them. They can look away or what have you. So what you're going to hear is me already having taken a flash picture, and you hear an EVP of someone responding to me taking a flash photograph.
Groovy.
Okay, it's me. I believe Tommy was there. It was, like I said, it was a number of years ago now, 8 years ago. So I'll play this one. Even though flash. So that was even though flash. Same location, we're talking amongst ourselves, and you hear an EVP of someone say, get me out, get out, get out.
Oh, one of those get out
And it goes
EVPs.
On. Yeah, it's loud too.
You hear that clearly.
Right?
Wow.
Somebody really wanted you out. Somebody's really saying, get out.
Get out.
Okay, so same. Now, we stayed overnight there too, and in the morning, we decided let's leave our recorders on and go to breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
We went to breakfast and came back in the door, and this is what we captured coming in the door.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're back.
Not you, you're back again.
Oh, yeah, you're back. Oh, yeah, you're back.
Somebody was not happy. You
Oh,
guys showed
yeah,
up.
you're back.
Not you, you're back again.
Oh, yeah, you're back. Oh, yeah, you're back.
Okay, and when we started to investigate the first night before, we turned all the power off, all the lights, because you want to investigate in the dark quietly, right? Mm-hmm. And then you hear someone yell, power, the power's on. And then you hear like evil right afterwards.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
funny.
They're almost yelling.
Yeah, yeah. And same place, just a male saying, "The child in the house." Don't know what he means. Tommy's talking. Is he referring to Tommy? I don't know.
Look at the obituary.
Maybe it's the child in hell. I don't know.
Okay, so this place where you investigated,
Uh-huh.
the voice sounds like it's the same person. Do you know any history of somebody who died who is? Because his voice is very distinctive.
Not really. I mean, there was a rumor that a woman had an illegal abortion and buried it on the property.
Wow. It sounds like a male voice.
Yeah, it does
No,
sound
it
like
is a male.
voice to me.
Totally, but I'm just
Yeah.
wondering that maybe he lived there before.
I don't know.
and
They didn't have any idea.
They had
though.
no-
Nope.
Okay.
This is a definite female. This is a classic one
Okay.
that everyone knows and laughs and says, when they think of ghosts, they say this line, and it's a woman.
Oh, got to hear this
And
one.
it's in the middle of our conversation.
Are you here?
Are you here?
You know what it sounds like to me?
After, are you here?
Are you here? You know what it sounds like to me? You know what it
We're here.
you know what
Uh-huh.
you know you know
This is the same house?
Yes.
Well, okay.
And it was an elderly woman who lived there and died. And
That
I-
sounds more like the elderly woman right there.
And there was another one. I don't have it on here, and I usually use it for lectures when I want to do residual. Mm-hmm. Is you can hear a woman going, "Come here, come here, come here," and the dog going, "Arf, arf, 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 arf."
I remember that. Yeah.
And it's all in the background.
Yeah.
But it sounds like someone's in a house behind you playing with the dog. And you hear the dog laughing and bark, or not laughing, but
wanna hear
barking. And
this.
she's like, "Come on, there you go."
Oh my God.
Well, I wanna hear
That's
that.
very good.
I don't have it here, but
Oh,
I do
rats.
have that. I do have that one.
Aw.
This isn't another case somewhere else in the city. These are not very. We're having tech issues with the DVR machine, trying to set up the cameras, And this not so nice mail says, bend over. And another one says,
Uh-oh.
even better aim.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I'm not.
Even better
Sounds sinister.
aim. Bend over.
No, I'm not.
Even better aim.
Rapey ghosts.
It's a very sinister ghost.
It sounds kind of rapey.
That's freaky.
Better for the ghost to rape you, apparently.
Who was bending over?
Both of us trying to fix the machine.
Oh,
So that's probably the comment of bend over. Even better aim now.
Uh-huh.
This was in the same place, in a kitchen area. Me by myself in the kitchen. You hear a female say, "You can't cross in here." I don't know. She was talking to us. She talking to someone else. You can't cross in here.
No, you can't.
All right. This is now the Columbarium. These are ones from the Columbarium. This is from my very first trip to the Columbarium, and me always having a good laugh wherever I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
I make the old Friday the 13th. This is just me and Tommy in the Columbarium. We hear this. I go ch 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 ch, expecting.
Oh yeah.
You'll hear what I get back.
Huh.
They thought that was funny.
Well, somebody obviously saw
Somebody
the
saw some
Friday the 13th
humor
movie
there.
too.
Exactly.
When you and I went to the Columbarium, you got some EVPs as well at the time. Yeah.
Yep. The very first EVP I ever got when I walked in the door.
Wow.
It's an elderly man walking up to me and says, Harry Graham, introducing himself
At the Columbarium?
at the Columbarium.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's like you were the officers are and stuff. What's the copy officer? Yeah, it's like you were the officers are and stuff.
Did you try to find his urn?
Did you try to find his name?
Yep. I actually went to the Columbarium thing where they look people up.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't find anybody. I did find a Harry Graham that passed away in the 80s. 81. He was like 80-something.
I show one here online that passed away in 1874.
Well, did you didn't find his
Born in
niche?
1970.
No, he wasn't buried there.
Oh, maybe it was in the
It could
original
have been in the cemetery.
Oddfellows cemetery. Yeah.
The Old Fellows.
The old fellows.
The old fellow was buried in the Odd Fellows.
The old fellows.
The old fellow buried in the Odd Fellow. This now, if you remember the story about Viola, little Viola.
The little girl Viola. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Emmett has the story at the columbarium. He tells about seeing her, and her family came back and gave him a picture, and that was the one he saw. Mm-hmm. Me and Shauna brought a little ribbon for her and put it on the niche, and me and Tommy were there by ourselves the first time. We were looking around. He showed me the niche of the von Staden family. And we have our recorders on, and you hear her simply say, "Turn it off."
Huh.
And you can tell it's a little girl.
Hello. Where are you? I don't see you. Turn that off.
Oh my gosh, you can hear. Little girl.
Yep.
Hello. Where are you? I don't see you. Turn that off.
Cool.
Turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that off.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
She has such a distinctive little voice,
Yeah,
too.
and what's funny is when I went back with Shauna at Easter, we brought a little rabbit. And Shauna's going, "It's okay, you can take the rabbit when we go. The rabbit's for you. You can take it, okay?" And she actually answers. You could tell that someone else must have said something to the child, like, "You can't take it." Because you hear this very, very sad little girl go, "How come?" It's very sad. But it's the same girl. It's the same voice, I swear to God. Here we go.
You can play with it tonight if you want.
Oh, I can't. That's just, I can't. Just told she
You can
can't.
play with it tonight if you want. This is where you're standing ready to be like.
I hear her little voice.
I can't.
Maybe she's not sure how to handle it.
Maybe, but you hear like another adult's voice go, like almost,
Like, don't take that.
don't touch that.
Aww.
I can't. Because Shauna's saying, "You can take it." She's saying, I can't.
I can understand
yeah.
why.
Let me play that one again.
You can play with it tonight if you want. You can play with it tonight if you want. This is where you're standing ready to be like.
So for those that love EVPs of children that creeps you out, there you go, folks.
Yep.
Sounds like she's being watched over by adults.
The columbarium
parents.
is full of them.
Oh, yeah.
So full of people there.
Yeah, I
tons.
believe that.
This was I was by myself this time because I've gone by myself. I'm upstairs on the very top floor, and I'm reading the niches. I'm reading the one that says Dwight, and you hear in the distance knocking,
Huh.
just like that.
Nice.
Someone was trying to get your attention.
And I didn't do it. I was by myself. I'm just reading the niches, and this guy goes knocking, and you hear it echo in the columbarium.
Love it.
Dwight?
He heard you. Dwight was telling you he was here.
Shaving a haircut.
Yep.
Wow.
That is very cool.
That was very cool. Yes.
And that was with my mini disc recorder too. That's why it's a lot clearer.
Right.
And this is another mini disc recorder, same session. You hear a male and a female very loudly in the columbarium. I'm walking around and you hear a woman say, "Creature, trust you." So he says creature, she says trust. No, she says creature, and he says trust you. I was by myself. There wasn't a soul in the columbarium.
And it's very quiet there.
It's very quiet. So
Yeah,
this will tell you how clear it was. For this, me pretending this is voices on my recorder that somehow on my brain activity I'm making it up. Here you go. Creature, trust you.
Their voices sound a little more modern, if that makes a difference.
Well, not. You got to think though. We don't really know what voices sound. I mean, 1800s. They could sound just like us.
Yeah.
Oh, of course they can, but for some reason, the way they talk and these voices sound distinctive. The way they talk, you
It
just feels different. That's
Well,
all.
that doesn't mean all ghosts are from the 1800s.
Yeah, they're not
course
all
not.
from the 1800s.
No, of
There's
course
a lot
not.
of people from the.
I know. I was just saying that they sound very distinctive, and they sound like they're.
I know what she
different.
means.
Yeah.
I think contemporary voices are more faster. Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. This one was from the columbarium. Live with us, not much. I don't remember this one. Name on the bench here. See more Oddfellows. It's him, me talking to myself about looking for Oddfellow ninjas. But you hear them first. Live with us, not much. Name on the bench here. See more Oddfellows. Maybe they're with us, maybe. They're with us, that one? I don't know. Interesting.
Were they trying to tell you that not many odd fellows are there when they say
No,
not
it's
much?
me
That was him.
Oh,
talking
okay.
afterwards. And this one's if this boy runs in the way, I'll go. So it's two people. If
Right.
this boy runs in the way, and the other one goes, I'll go. Very clear though.
Very
That is
clear.
so clear.
That columbarium
Exactly.
just full of activity.
It always is. Every time. You can get a lot of recordings there.
This is me and Sean at the cemetery. People say you can never get EVPs at the cemetery, right? Why are dead people hanging around a cemetery?
I don't know.
Well, who's to say dead people don't go to the cemetery
Which
just to look?
cemetery was it?
Why can't you look? Cypress Hill.
Oh, Cypress?
And here's what we got. You hear a man, help us, in the background. And
Did
this
you
one,
help them?
I didn't know they were there. Would have
Oh,
helped
of course,
them.
if you didn't know they were there, how could you help them? You're right.
Exactly.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
And then we were talking about a grave. It was a San Francisco husband and wife. The woman was born in Germany, and he was from San Francisco. And we were wondering about their life. During the war, did she come back as a bride? And they both passed away here in San Francisco. And you hear a woman give us an answer while we were contemplating the story behind this gravesite.
Cool.
He must have went to Germany and brought Mina back, or
In the war?
he visited, or maybe she visited here and they fell in love. Who knows?
Just a woman. Yes.
He must have went to Germany and brought Mina back, or
In the war?
he visited, or maybe she visited here and they fell in love. Who knows?
Yes.
Who
Yes.
knows?
She was agreeing.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
And she has an accent, too,
Who knows?
with that yes.
Well, I really hope it's not Mina, because why the hell are you hanging about your grave for all these years?
Yes.
Yes. This is the Queen Anne Hotel.
Yay.
Love that place.
Before we did our conference there, I was wandering the halls by myself, seeing what I could capture from the place. A former boarding school for girls, finishing school. Miss Mary Lake's finishing school for girls at the turn of the century, late 1895 to early 1900s. Then the Catholic Church bought it for a long, long time. But at that time, it was for the girls. And this first one I got was just me wandering the halls doing EVP, and you hear a male say, "You're knack."
T12. Look at this beautiful. That's really nice.
I'm just naming out
T12.
212.
Look at this beautiful. That's really nice.
You're knack.
That's really nice. That's really nice. That's really nice. That's really nice.
And there was this is funny. We're in the library of the Queen Anne. It's down in the lobby, past the piano and the fireplace.
I know where
There's
it
a
is.
little sitting area where there's a library, and there's this picture of this little boy on the wall.
Oh, the little boy picture.
From the 1800s. He's really pale looking. He's kind of creepy looking. He's dressed in old-fashioned clothes. And we're looking at the picture and just commenting on him in general and sort of laughing and joking. And after we joke, you'll hear this woman say, I say, "I don't think he got out much." And you hear the woman go, I'll show you another little boy."
Looks like he's not been outside much. Who is this person in this picture? Looks like he's not been outside much. Who is this person in this picture?
See, she was watching what you were doing.
Maybe it was Miss Lake.
I'll show you another little boy.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're looking at a little boy. She wants to show us another little boy. There was other pictures of little boys, but I thought that was kind of funny.
Wow.
This is the only residual I have from the Queen Anne Hotel because I captured it in the hall outside of what used to be the old music room. And now at this time, when it was a music room, the hallways had no carpeting. It was wood floors, and it was children inside the classroom in the music room. So I'm outside what would have been the classroom, the music room, and I hear what sounds to me like giggling children, probably girls, and you hear a teacher probably, "Shut that door," and then you hear giggling again, and then you hear a little girl who must have saw me in the hall and said, "Toodaloo," and slams the door shut.
Oh, right.
That's
I like
great.
that.
Of course, I'm oblivious to all of this.
Yeah.
Mary? And then it's just quiet. 414, 412. Mary? And that door doesn't make that sound if there's carpeting.
It's pretty loud.
Shut that door. So that one was pretty wild. Also in the Queen Anne, I absolutely hope I died. It's an old. You can tell it's an older woman. Absolutely. Now this
She sounds confused.
She absolutely hopes she's dead.
I know. He's like, okay.
This was recorded in the dining hall late at night by myself. Very, very clear and very cool, though.
Something your town?
Your town or something?
Beyond.
Beyond.
Oh, beyond
Your
your town.
town.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
So that one's kind of weird.
That room is haunted.
And this one gave me a name.
Wow.
I said, is anybody here with us? Walter Capelin, the famous soprano.
Okay.
It's a male, though. It sounds like a male, but it says Walter Capelin, the famous soprano.
Capelin?
Capelin. I already looked it all up. Didn't find it.
What's your name? What's your name?
I think it could be actor. Or director. Does it sound like director
Yeah,
to
it
you?
sounds like director.
Sounds like director.
So maybe there was a famous director called Walter Capelin, and he's happily residing at the Queen Anne Hotel
I know.
in San Francisco as we speak.
Probably after Miss Lake.
Yeah, exactly. And now you're going to know how I know that there's a spirit called Pete around me all the time. This is the very first time I ever recorded him and his voice.
And this is at the Queen Anne?
Yeah. This
Okay.
was at the Queen Anne Hotel.
Where at?
I was staying in Mary Lake Suite that night after the conference.
Which suite?
Mary Lake Suite.
Oh, Mary Lakes? Okay.
410. Yep.
Yeah, 410.
And you hear him say his name. He's telling people to be quiet because he's talking. And Pete is talking. Oh, Pete's talking.
Okay.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can skip ahead here.
So I think I met you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was.
Before the conference.
I'm
That was my first paranormal conference.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm skipping to Alcatraz real quick.
Okay.
Ann and Sharon had set up trigger owls in Robert Stroud, the Birdman's cell, to get a response because they're motion censored. They go cuckoo.
Oh, yeah.
Make an owl sound. Mm-hmm. I left my mini disc on the toilet next to them, and we all left the room, and this is what it recorded. Bullshit.
Yes, spirits do cuss.
Yes, they do, and that's one of the nicer cusses.
I know. I heard worse.
In the hospital, one of my volunteer overnights, there's only 3 of us in the operating room.
Overnight
In
hospital.
Alcatraz, in the
Alcatraz, okay.
operating room. So we're hanging around the operating room. And we hear this. The EVP will be heard first.
Are there multiple stairs in the hospital?
Sounds like got the knife.
Are there multiple stairs in the hospital?
Got the knife.
Got the knife.
Okay. I'll play one more and we're done. Also, Alcatraz in the operating room. It's two men. What if he crossed under? And the older man, I think Pete, says, "This side of them, that's fine."
Ooh, sinister.
You don't have to leave me. If you cross under this side of them, that's fine. You don't have to leave me. If you cross under this side of them, that's fine. If you cross under this side of them, that's fine. If you cross under this side of them, that's fine.
And for Jackie's sake, the very last one we got at Penhurst Asylum in the basement. Played Amazing Grace on the harmonica. And this was the EVP we got as soon as I finished the last note. That was a good one.
So where'd you stay with her? I'm down in the door now.
Who played the harmonica?
I did.
You did?
So there we go.
Wow.
Those are great. Those are some great EVPs.
Well, that was a heck lot better when I was on the USS Hornet at the chaplain room. We were all singing Amazing Grace really badly.
Oh, see? Scaring them away. Run! So, you know, it just shows you that so all that stuff we make up and capture, that we make up, all those voices when you're by yourself. And I'm not using a radio. I'm using a mini disc recorder.
I'm sorry about that.
I think Verna's going to throw
I
up
got
on the
hiccups.
microphone.
I'm so sorry.
She's possessed.
She's possessed. That's a different show. We're going to have to bring in an exorcism for that.
Thanks, guys.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
Oh, it
It's not working.
Yeah, I didn't think it would.
No. But, no, EVPs are just, I think they're one of the best tools to have, you know, a recorder. I think the simpler, the better. I mean, you can have all that high-tech equipment and stuff. Nothing just beats when you can capture.
I think so.
You know.
I've recorded EVPs on my iPhone.
See, that's the worst thing you can ever use for EVPs.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Before you throw up, it picks up from a satellite signal, which could have crosstalk with other cell phone call signals.
But I captured some.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. It's a device that's designed to pick up signals from other cell phones.
Okay.
Crosstalk. So, you might record something on there that isn't, and it sets off EMF detectors. It's the worst ghost hunters item you could have around other ghost hunters.
I believe it.
Because they can tell when you have a cell phone on, because everything in the world spikes up. And they're like, who has their cell phone on? I don't.
Yeah.
I recorded sounds excuse me.
What?
This is terrible.
Okay.
This is awful on the air too.
I know.
I recorded sounds on an iPhone better than I recorded on an Android phone in a silent place.
The key here is they're still phones.
Okay. But
That's why real ghost hunters won't use their cell phone.
No, they won't.
or apps.
I did it as an experiment, and
No, I know. I'm just saying,
yeah.
if you have one around one and you're using it, you're going to hear from most ghost hunters. They'll say, "Who has their cell phone on?"
Yeah, because it really.
Oh no,
messes
this
up
was
the
by
equipment.
myself, and with another person. And though this is terrible. I got the hiccups really bad. But anyway, I got some stuff. I did get some stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We're trying to join in.
I played a couple of them to Linda, and Linda heard them.
Did you?
She did.
Bro.
Stop it, you guys.
What?
This is no fun for
Do
me.
you have hiccups anymore?
Yeah.
I haven't heard any, so maybe it worked.
Yeah.
Forget it. I just hiccuped.
You just made yourself do that. It's not an EVP.
I'm embarrassed, you guys.
That was
I'm already embarrassed enough.
they can't see you.
No, but they can hear me, and I sound like a fool.
She just said it on the air.
I do sound like a fool with the hiccups. So yeah, of course I do.
You heard it here, folks. Verna said we didn't. She's hiccuping between hiccups. She's.
I don't.
Now I'm too busy laughing.
So
Anyhow.
yeah, EVP is my thing. It always has been. I've learned a lot. I've learned to not record for hours and hours and hours unattended because you get contaminated noise.
Totally.
You never know if your recorders are unattended. You don't know who wanders in, who talks. So just keep an eye on. Make sure you tag all your recordings. I mean everything: air conditioners, dogs, everything.
Even a fart.
Even a fart. All right, so we will see you next week, folks, on Ecto Portal. Say
See you next week. Good night.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden.